Today we are going to be doing another episode of the Mosaic Crochet Diaries where I focus on one of my designs in particular and give you guys a little bit of background information about it. The pattern for today's video is none other than the Eros Jumper. I'm Jessie of Crochet by Jessie, and let's get into today's video. I have been very excited about doing a spotlight on the Eros Jumper because the pattern's been out since November time. It is the second jumper pattern that I have ever released. The third one here, the Eros Jumper, is still in testing, but in just over a month's time it will be finally released, which I'm so excited for. The Eros Jumper was inspired by the Eros Vest, which was my second wearable that I ever made and released with Mosaic Crochet. Eros translates to the god of love, and I went for very romantic colour palettes with both of them, but I tried my best with the Eros Jumper here to make a version which was not necessarily as stereotypically romantic. I've still got a bit of red and a little bit of pink, but I really wanted to put a bit more of an emphasis on purple personally. And I also wanted to make sure that I had a piece that was very different visually to all of my other designs. You've probably seen them already, but I try my best to have a very different colour palette for each thing that I'm working on, because I don't want it to kind of all blend together in your heads. I want you guys to be able to see the colour palette and know for a fact, oh yeah, that's this specific design by Jessie. The Eros Jumper is one that I not only enjoyed the pattern itself, but I really enjoyed the actual testing period for it as well. The reason for that is because I had such a range of colour palettes chosen by all of the testers. What I found particularly fun with this is when I tested the Tesserae jumper, it was the first jumper pattern I'd ever worked on, and a lot of people loved the specific colour palette and the vibe already, so they went for something quite similar to that, and that's great, but it just meant that there was a little bit less variation with all of the testing examples compared to how it could have been. And that is the reason why the Eros Jumper testing group was insanely satisfying for me, and that is because the amount of different colour combinations, themes, just all of it genuinely blew my mind. Here are some examples of the testers, and I feel like what made this so amazing is this testing group really highlighted just how different one pattern can be when you make it in so many different ways. I had pastel pattern testers, which was amazing. We had some really vibrant greens, we had blues, we had so many different versions, which were so different to any colour palette that I have personally used, that it was very inspiring for me as well, because I try to look at a pattern fairly objectively and kind of go, oh, I hope people are going to see inspiration for this. But I knew for a fact that anyone looking through the pattern, seeing all of the different versions and testing, you've got so much inspiration there because of how wildly different everyone's versions were. One thing that I really enjoyed as well, in particular with this jumper, was all of the variety in the ways that it was made and shown by the testers. I mentioned a little bit earlier that one of my testers made a more fitted version with crop sleeves, and it kind of ended up being like an Eros Jumper tee version, like a t-shirt, which looked amazing and also illustrated just what you can do with the pattern. The other thing which was really amazing, this was very different from the Tesserae jumpers, because a lot of them, they wanted to replicate the kind of fit that I had as well in the photos and videos of my own. So that made it a little bit more samey in the examples, which again, absolutely fine. But with the Eros Jumper testers, a lot of them were making like full length, lovely flared sleeves, but then having a cropped body section just to kind of show that the jumpers didn't have to be full length in both aspects. You could have the full length sleeves, but you could have a shorter body section. I feel like that just showed how you can end up with such a different version of the same pattern, which is why I love doing the designs the way I do, because I want to give you the freedom to make it in whatever way benefits you and whatever way you want it to fit. I feel like can be lost a bit sometimes if you have such a specific set idea of what it needs to be like. I always talk about make it as long or as short as you want, make it as tight or as loose and oversized as you want. And I really feel like the testers that time round did that with so much expertise. It was so wonderful to see. What was so amazing is just the fact that you would just see such variety just going through all of the testing photos, with both the way they've styled it, with the colour palettes they chose, and the actual fit of the jumper as well. I honestly feel like this was probably one of the most excited moments I've had whilst having a testing group. It was just so fun to see what everyone was choosing to do with the pattern. And yeah, I felt absolutely buzzing every time there was an update, every time the final photos came through. It was amazing because it felt like there was a sense of, I don't know what I'm going to get, which is fun because it just shows that they have used the pattern and really made it their own as well, which is exactly what you want to see as a designer. The Eros jumper had really, really fun flared sleeves, which was different to the Tesserae jumper. I of course give you guys options to do both, but I tend to find that what I do for the version is usually what people end up doing as well. Don't get me wrong, you have a couple wild cards. For example, some of my Lithos jumpers are going to be doing a slightly shorter sleeve version, but I really enjoyed the fact that most of them did have that flared effect, which I just thought was really nice and brought a slightly different shape to the jumper as well. One thing which has been very, very nice, which I obviously had a lot more of with the Tesserae jumper, is there are people that are wanting to make an identical version to my Eros jumper with the exact same layout and colours and order and all of it. I didn't expect that as much with this jumper. The reason for that is I knew the Tesserae jumper was kind of a hit in all aspects. People enjoyed the photos, people enjoyed the pattern, but the colours as well really just kind of sealed the deal and drew people in. So I wasn't surprised that a lot of people wanted to make the exact version, whereas I just didn't really expect that as much with the Eros jumper. You never know if the version that you chose to make yourself is the version that would be ideal for others. So it was very, very exciting to get loads of photo updates and have people like posting and sharing on their stories that they were doing the same to end up with a version just like mine. I find it so fun that one of my very, very early on designs, which was my Eros vest, ended up leading to another idea to create a piece which I am so obsessed with. I absolutely adore my Eros jumper. It's a shame because it's starting to get a little bit warmer where I am now, so I'm not going to be able to wear it quite as much. However, I didn't finish it until late November. Once it gets to the cold time of the year at the later part of this year, I'm going to get so much more wear out of it this time round, which I'm already very excited for. So going on a little bit more about the specifics, if you guys haven't seen any of my patterns before, you don't really know where to start with, the weight that I use for both of these jumpers that I typically use for all of my wearables for the most part is a weight 1 super fine cotton. The reason for that is because I think it makes the pieces just so much more versatile overall. It means that you have so much more drape than you would with thicker yarn. One thing about Mosaic Crochet that I do, because it's overlay Mosaic Crochet, you basically have 2 layers of yarn that are basically sandwiched on each other because you're overlaying in the colours to kind of create the design that you're seeing. And because of that, if you use a thicker, chunkier yarn, it's not going to drape as well. You're going to feel a little bit boxy. It's going to be quite thick, therefore very, very warm. And I wanted a piece, again, that was very versatile in being able to have a lot more flexibility for where and when you can wear it. So because of that, I ended up using the same cotton again. I'm so happy with it. 1, because I feel like the colours are so beautiful and vibrant and there's such a variety of them. And 2, because it means I'm going to be able to get more wear out of them as well. It's perfect because although obviously it's now starting to get a bit too warm for me, it means that in freezing weather, you can wear them, but you could wear something underneath if you need to. And then when it's kind of like that awkward in between where you want a jumper, but you don't want like a really thick one, again, it's perfect. I've had a lot of people ask me if they could use thicker yarns. And the answer is, of course, obviously, yes, it will still work. But at the same time, if you are looking for that drape and for the opportunity to wear it as much as possible, I chose what I chose for a reason. And a lot of people, for the most part, do end up using the same yarn as me that I recommend because it really is worth it for that reason alone. As well as that, cotton is very breathable and forgiving with lots of different types of weather. So a lot of my wearables in general are cotton. They also keep their shape a lot more because you don't want your beautiful piece to be too heavy and then just kind of weigh itself down and kind of go a little bit misshaped. I've not had that issue whatsoever with any of my pieces. And even more so, I have not had to block any of them. Personally, I have found that the way they have draped and fitted, because of the cotton, the nature of the crochet, all of it, it has worked perfectly. And for the most part as well, draping's not really going to have too much of a difference with these pieces. The reason I say that is with Mosaic Crochet, it's not really going to change shape that much because of the way the stitches are made. It's not as loose as traditional crochet, so you're not really going to be able to kind of change it and alter it as much, which is why I always say just make sure you're happy with the fit when you put it on, because if you want to block it then go for it, but it is going to make minimal changes. Overall, I'm so proud of the Eros jumper. It's so fun to kind of do these videos and look back at my past designs, because I don't want them to be forgotten. I want to celebrate them for how proud I am and how amazing the experience of testing was and how beautiful all of the different versions I've seen are. And for me, yeah, I'm really, really happy with this design. I'm going to always be very, very proud. Every piece that I make holds a special place in my heart. And it's just been really fun branching out into the world of larger designs such as jumpers and cardigans and so on, which I am doing. A lot of my designs in the start were the smaller crop tops because of the time that I was really starting to get into these designs, being summertime, essentially. It's very, very fun seeing where my designs take form and how they work based off of what time of year that I'm working on them. It just makes me very excited to think of, well, this is where we were winter time of 2025 into 2026. So it will be great to see what happens when we get to that point in 2026 into 2027. I wonder where things will be going and how I will develop my patterns and what else there will be finally released. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you have gotten to this stage, then let me know which version of the Eros jumper from all of my lovely testers that I showed photos of earlier that was your favourite. And if potentially you had your own ideas in mind, let me know what colour palettes you would use for your Eros jumper as well. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!